The very first game that was in contention for our Shelf or Sell series.
KeyFlower, and we have finally gotten it to the table.
A game that I have owned for a long time, and I mean a long time.
That sounds like most of your collection.
And we brought it to the middle. There was a lot of people demanding that we play it. Tons of people said it was great. When we looked closer, it was actually fairly high up on the BGG Top 100. It's like in the 70s somewhere.
Yeah, so we have to play it anyways to cover it for our other series.
We still need to do a few more plays.
For sure.
I think at least a few 2-player head-to-head, and it's rated fairly well.
At 4 players.
At 4 and terribly at 6, which means we need to get at least one experience at 6. Is that how that works?
No.
Or we avoid that player count altogether. But I thought we'd do a quick first impressions Shelf or Sell update, and this is for 2 reasons. One, we're coming up on the 100th game.
We will have reviewed and shelved and sold 100 games, give or take. There's like 1 week where he bought so many games and it was, I think, 12 or 14, so it wasn't quite 10.
Either way, we're coming up on our 100th-ish game, and this is still sitting there as like a floating curse in the middle.
Yeah. So, first impressions?
I don't think we agree.
I know, we don't agree. So, why don't you go first?
If we didn't have to play this game for the top 100, I think I would already get rid of it.
It's a good thing your opinion doesn't matter, and I have a series that's saving this game.
Here's the thing. Okay.
I thoroughly enjoyed this game, and it is going to be part of my permanent collection.
Part of your permanent?
I really like it.
Awkward. Let's talk a little bit about what KeyFlower is. So KeyFlower is going to be a combination tile laying and kind of resource allocation.
Worker placement.
It's a bit worker placement for sure.
Bidding.
You're going to be drawing random workers from the bag and placing them behind your screen. You're going to have a stockpile and a resource of workers, and more will come in every season on various boats. Those workers then get placed out here to the market to either take tile actions, take bidding positions, or go on your own player board to take your personal tile actions. Now, any meeple that's on a tile is going to return back to the owner at the end of the round. Any meeple that's at the edge of a tile here in the marketplace, the person who has placed the most will win the bid. Now, the interesting or compelling thing is that every tile can only occupy one select color of meeple. Yep. So, if you're bidding, if you're playing, vice versa, all across the board, if a tile's been established as green, red, yellow, it has to be that. So there's this interesting interplay where I might put one yellow out there just to keep anyone else from putting any of their other colors to start activating or escalating. If I know you have a pile of red behind your screen, maybe I'd cut you to the chase and just lock a tile out.
Or if you get early access to green, which is an exclusive color that you actually have to upgrade your meeples to get, and you can start monopolizing certain tiles with green when other people don't have access to those meeples.
So really interesting limited pool worker placement. Interesting bidding mechanics where you're always able to kind of push and shift what's here in the marketplace. And then alongside that, the scoring at the end of the game is really compelling as well. You're actually tile laying. So you're building out a grid of rows, you different variable scoring objectives that require you to move certain goods to certain locations, have certain types of meeples, or even collect certain boats by triggering kind of end game, and have those boats score you for the longest road, the biggest circle, the most rivers, etc., so forth and so on. It plays fairly quick.
Yeah.
Plays good at low to high player counts. And yeah, I understand.
I don't know why you were not compelled. It's so weird.
Why are
to
you?
me.
Go ahead and establish why you are.
So, what? We played a game recently that was the farming game with the resources.
Agricola. Oh, lovely.
Why do you like Agricola more than this?
Well, Agricola, I get to protect my herd of sheep.
Okay.
You see sheep in this game?
Not directly.
If those were sheep, not meeples, I might be more compelled.
There's horses. Pulling carriages.
Why are you putting this in your, like... You said it's going into your permanent collection.
I mean, it's definitely going on the shelf side.
Yeah?
Yeah.
When are you going to ask for this?
At higher player counts.
Are you?
I want to see what it plays at. I like the tile laying mechanic. I always have liked the tile laying mechanic. I like individual city building. I like the interplay between all the players over here where you can be mean and spiteful on the board. You can also be mean and spiteful, and you can take people's locations in their own little homes. You can send your meeples there. Granted, they get those meeples for the next round, but you can take over their locations because each location can only have 6 meeples. So if you went there with 3, no one else could ever go there for that round. I like it a lot. It's got cool scoring. You're looking at me like it fell.
No, I'm curious. I
think it has a lot of thinking and strategy and sequencing, but it's not too much of that. And it's helping me train and become better at the sequencing. Like, I knew I had to do this to get this because I knew what some of the endgame conditions were going to be. So I knew I was working towards that. So I had to get these tiles. I had to do this. I had to take his thing before, like...
Now, I am open and interested in mixing in some expansions.
Yes.
I'd like to see how some of those work. It felt a little shallow for me. It doesn't have a ton of, like, point escalation. I think there are multiple paths to victory, but...
Is this because you lost?
No, it's not because I lost at all. I think I did really well at what I was doing. I got all the green ones that are imaginable. We had no green left in the entire pool.
Yeah.
No, I didn't find any one stage of the game. I enjoyed the game across the board. Like, I don't think it's a bad game. I just didn't find any one stage of it compelling enough.
So you don't find it a bad game, so, like, we're not giving official ratings, but you would call it a 3?
Yeah, maybe even a little bit higher. I mean, I'm happy to play that. Like, if you set this up on the table and you're like, hey, we're going to play KeyFlower 2-player, I'd be happy to sit down and play it.
Cool.
I'd probably have a grand time. I just don't think I'm asking for it. I see no reason why it would need to go on my shelf. Because I don't think I pull this out ever, though.
I think it's cool.
There's some really cool elements to it, like the worker placement and having, like, a hidden pool of different colored workers. That's really compelling. Also, being able to use any tile across the board, whether it's in the marketplace or on player boards, that's really cool as well, because you have an interplay between...
I would like to see more expansions. I agree with you. I want to see if they give you more powers and abilities. Like, you didn't get any of these cool boats, but there's some boats that, if you get them, like, I was able to use... I didn't use it very well, but I was able to use different color meeples than whatever anyone else had placed there. I was also able to upgrade my things with any colored goods. I wasn't restricted by goods. So I'd like to see more powers and abilities and, like, more individual differences, but I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I think I really like it, but do I have any major straight complaints with it? Aesthetically, I think it's a little lackluster. I like the front of the box more than I like any other element of the game, but some of the artwork's pretty, and some of the buildings, when you kind of look past the top level graphic design, are actually really nice.
I think it's quaint.
I wish the city building was a little bit wider and deeper than it is. I don't feel like you really get to establish a little village of your own, which is a little weird for me. I also find the boats a bit odd.
Odd, why?
Well, I find the boats a bit odd because you don't have enough to, like, justify attaching a big old river. Like, you had 2 maximum.
I ended up getting 3 at the end, which was 8 points, which is a decent chunk of points because I had that scoring objective at the end. But if you play with 6 players, you can get 1, 2, 3, 4. You can get so many more. I also, and I'm not 100% sure on this, but I do feel like there's got to be some elements of the scoring and some elements of the end game that knowledge starts to benefit. Because knowing where, kind of what winter tiles might come out, and you get to pick and draft which winter tiles, so you actually get to premeditate what is potentially scoring around the table, which is a nice twist, because it gives you some control over what you're going for. However, I also feel like some of the tiles that rely on scoring, like moving certain resources from one point to another point, or converting things, I think you can build very purposefully for some of those, where if other people aren't doing that, you might have a stronger advantage over them. Yes.
If you understand how endgame works.
We didn't realize how strong those tiles were going to be. The ones that came out that were like, you bring all your wood to this location. Those are definitely very powerful used in the right circumstances, especially if you pair them up with high movement tiles like this that can move 4. So, I agree. I think more experience is needed. Good. We'll be continuing more.
What do you think? Right now we've played at 3 players.
Yep.
I like 3 players. I wouldn't mind going up to 4. It was already going a bit slow at 3 players, though.
Yep.
There's a decent amount of, like, player lag. Every turn had a ton of decision to it, which I do find interesting, because every turn you're trying to make a choice between what do you give to other players, where do you block people off, how quickly do you use other people's tiles.
I thought you were going to like it so much. I was so surprised.
Well, I mean, In theory, I like every aspect about it.
Yeah.
Just none of them
Pull together into one cohesive.
I'm not overly excited about any element of it.
So interesting.
I just think the whole game's good.
Yeah.
But just good. Like, I don't know. And there's a ton of things in it that I would love to see implemented in other titles. I'm curious to see how it operates at 2 players. 2 players may be where it swings for me. If it's a really solid head-to-head 2-player matchup where I'm just kind of engine building and getting resources and we can move quickly through it, maybe I'll like that more. Or possibly getting more experience with it and mixing in some expansions. There's still probably an opportunity for this to stay on the shelf, and if you're fighting for it, I mean, it certainly will.
It's a small enough box. Doesn't occupy too much space.
Yeah.
Unlike some of the other games that you insist on keeping.
A lot of the games that I insist on keeping. Yeah,
You're so meh about it.
I don't know. I didn't entirely know what to expect, but yeah, there's a lot here. I don't know why I don't like it as much as I should.
I know. It's weird.
Yeah. Curious. Any other final thoughts, updates, things you want to tell the audience about KeyFlower and your experience with it?
I want the upgraded components. Those were really nice. The friend we were playing with last night had really good upgraded components for those resource tiles.
Those did make a big difference. Bags as well.
Bags as well, yeah.
Yeah, those upgraded components made a big difference. Cool. Well, there's a first impression, shelf for sale review of KeyFlower. We are selling it.
No.
What?
What?
That's what I...
Didn't know how you ended that.
That's how we concluded
No.
it.
We are shelving it.